Picture a library so vast and mysterious that even the gods themselves were said to pause in reverence when its doors opened. This was no ordinary collection of scrolls and tablets. It was the legendary Library of Thoth, a place whispered about in temples, feared by priests, and dreamed of by mortals who longed to hold the secrets of the universe in their hands. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, was believed to be the divine scribe, the recorder of cosmic law, and the architect of sacred knowledge. His library was not simply shelves of papyrus, but a vault of forbidden truths. Within it were said to be spells that could command the elements, formulas that could resurrect the dead, and writings that revealed the hidden structure of creation itself. To read from its scrolls was to step into eternity, to hold the very rhythm of the cosmos in your grasp. The priests who guarded these secrets spoke of the Book of Thoth, a text so powerful that it could grant mastery over life and death. Yet legends warned that those who approached it without devotion would be consumed by madness. Wisdom without balance was dangerous, and so the library remained hidden, its doors sealed, its scrolls preserved only for the worthy. Over centuries, the legend grew. The Greeks reimagined Thoth as Hermes Trismegistus, linking his wisdom to their own philosophy. Mystics spoke of the emerald tablets, fragments of divine truth said to echo the teachings of Thoth. Each retelling added layers of mystery, ensuring that the library was never forgotten, even if its location remained elusive. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals stumbling through the sands of Egypt, hoping to find a scroll that explains the meaning of life, while Thoth himself likely sighed, knowing that the true meaning was not in possession, but in balance. The library was not a treasure chest, but a mirror, reflecting the eternal truth that knowledge is sacred, and only those who seek with reverence may glimpse its secrets. And so the legend endures, whispered in temples, retold in myths, and carried into the sleepy hum of history. The Library of Thoth remains hidden, yet ever present, a reminder that wisdom is eternal, that truth is divine, and that some secrets are too powerful to be revealed in full. If you love mythology and history from all cultures and forbidden ancient stories, subscribe, because this channel reveals the secrets behind every myth. And let me know from where you're watching, preferably while fighting off sleep like a historian who accidentally dozed off in the middle of a lecture. Thoth was no ordinary god in the Egyptian pantheon. He was the divine scribe, the keeper of balance, and the guardian of sacred knowledge, depicted with the head of an ibis, or sometimes as a wise baboon. Thoth embodied intelligence, precision, and watchfulness. His role was to measure the heavens, record the laws of the cosmos, and ensure that truth was preserved. Egyptians believed Thoth invented writing, gifting humanity the ability to record prayers, laws, and history. Every scribe in Egypt worked under his patronage, their reed pens echoing his divine hand. Without Thoth, memory would fade into silence, and the deeds of kings and priests would vanish into the sands. But Thoth's wisdom extended far beyond writing. He was the master of sacred language, the one who spoke words that shaped reality. In Egyptian thought, words were not mere sounds, but forces of creation. To utter a name was to summon its essence. To chant a spell was to align with cosmic law. Thoth held these secrets, ensuring that language remained a bridge between mortals and the divine. He also stood beside Ma'at, goddess of truth, in the Hall of Judgment. There, Thoth recorded the weighing of the heart, deciding whether a soul was worthy of eternity. His pen was as powerful as any weapon, for it determined the fate of mortals beyond death. Later cultures carried his legend forward. The Greeks saw him as Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great, linking his wisdom to philosophy and alchemy. His teachings became the foundation of the Emerald Tablets, texts that spoke of transformation and unity. There is a quiet humor in imagining Thoth patiently recording every detail of human life, from royal decrees to mundane complaints, yet this was his essence. No truth was too small, no detail too trivial. Thoth, the keeper of knowledge, remains the eternal scribe, ensuring that wisdom endures across ages. In the ancient world, libraries were not simply places to store scrolls. They were seen as sacred vaults where divine wisdom was preserved. For the Egyptians, a library was more than shelves of papyrus. It was a temple of knowledge, a bridge between mortals and the gods. To step inside was to enter a space where silence carried meaning, where every inscription echoed the rhythm of the cosmos. Thoth's library, whether real or symbolic, embodied this divine role. It was believed to contain the laws of creation, the formulas of magic, and the secrets of the soul. Unlike ordinary collections, these sacred libraries were guarded by priests who treated knowledge as holy. Reading was not casual entertainment, but ritual, and writing was not mere record-keeping, but an act of devotion. The Egyptians believed that words themselves held power. A scroll was not just ink on papyrus, but a living force, capable of shaping reality when spoken aloud. This is why libraries were sacred. They housed not only stories, but spells, not only history, but eternity. To preserve a text was to preserve a fragment of divine truth. Other cultures echoed this idea. The Greeks built libraries that honored the muses, while Mesopotamians stored clay tablets in temples. Yet Egypt's vision was unique. Its libraries were woven into religion itself, inseparable from ritual and worship. They were places where knowledge was not owned but guarded, where wisdom was not shared freely but entrusted carefully. There is a quiet humor in imagining a sleepy scribe nodding off over a scroll, while unknowingly holding in his hands the secrets of immortality. Yet this was the essence of sacred libraries. Ordinary people preserving extraordinary truths, often without realizing the magnitude of what they carried. The divine role of libraries reminds us that knowledge was never just information. It was sacred, eternal, and dangerous if misused. Through Thoth's library, the Egyptians taught that wisdom must be preserved with reverence, for it was not merely human but divine. Legends tell us that Thoth, the divine scribe, did not leave his wisdom scattered carelessly across the sands of Egypt. Instead, he concealed it in sacred texts, scrolls, and tablets, hidden away from ordinary mortals. These were not simple records of rituals or prayers, but writings said to contain the very mechanics of the universe. Among the most famous was the Book of Thoth, a text so powerful that it could grant mastery over life, death, and the elements. Ancient stories claimed it held spells to speak with animals, to command the stars, and even to resurrect the dead. To read it was to risk madness, for the knowledge was too vast for human minds to bear. Priests warned that only those chosen by the gods could safely approach its secrets. Other writings attributed to Thoth were said to describe the hidden names of creation. In Egyptian belief, names carried essence. To know the true name of a god or spirit was to hold power over it. These scrolls, if they existed, would have been guarded with extreme care, locked away in temples, whispered only in rituals. Later traditions expanded the legend. Mystics spoke of the emerald tablets, fragments of Thoth's wisdom preserved in cryptic verses. These texts were said to reveal the unity of spirit and matter, the transformation of the soul, and the eternal rhythm of life and death. Whether real or symbolic, they carried the same aura of forbidden truth. There is a quiet humor in imagining dusty scrolls tucked away in temple corners, while mortals dreamed of finding them to unlock immortality, only to discover that the true secret was balance, not power. The hidden books were not treasures to be seized, but burdens to be carried, demanding devotion and discipline. The idea of Thoth's concealed writings reminds us that wisdom was never meant to be freely given. It was hidden, preserved, and entrusted only to the worthy. These legendary books, whether myth or reality, became symbols of forbidden knowledge, eternal, elusive, and forever guarded by the God of wisdom himself. The wisdom attributed to Thoth was never meant to be freely scattered among mortals. Ancient traditions insisted that much of it was forbidden, locked away in temples, and whispered only in rituals. The reason was simple: knowledge is power, and power without balance can destroy. The scrolls, said to be hidden in Thoth's library, contained spells of resurrection, formulas to command the elements, and words that could summon divine forces. To misuse them would invite chaos, unraveling the harmony of Mat, the principle of truth and order that held the universe together. Priests warned that mortals, driven by greed or curiosity, could not be trusted with such secrets. Forbidden knowledge also included the hidden names of gods and spirits. In Egyptian belief, to know a true name was to hold authority over its essence. Imagine the danger if such power fell into careless hands. A single word, spoken without devotion, could disrupt the balance of the cosmos. Later, legends carried this idea forward. The emerald tablets, attributed to Thoth, spoke of transformation and unity. But even these were cloaked in cryptic verses, ensuring that only the devoted could grasp their meaning. The secrecy was not meant to punish humanity, but to protect it, shielding mortals from truths too vast for their understanding. There is a quiet humor in imagining ordinary people hoping to stumble upon these forbidden scrolls, dreaming of immortality or riches, while the gods themselves knew that the true treasure was balance, not power. The danger was never in the scrolls themselves, but in the human tendency to misuse them. The forbidden nature of Thoth's wisdom reminds us that some truths are too powerful to be revealed openly. They must be guarded, preserved, and entrusted only to those who seek with reverence. In this way, the library remained hidden, its secrets veiled, ensuring that wisdom served harmony rather than chaos. The legend of Thoth's library was never just about scrolls and tablets. It was also about the guardians who ensured its secrets remained hidden. These were the priests of Egypt, men devoted not to battle or conquest but to silence, ritual, and preservation. Their duty was not glamorous, yet it was sacred, to protect wisdom too powerful for ordinary mortals. The priests were trained from youth in the art of reading hieroglyphs, chanting sacred formulas, and memorizing rituals. They were scribes, healers, and keepers of forbidden names. To them, knowledge was not entertainment, but devotion. Every scroll was treated as a fragment of divine truth, every word a spark of creation. Their lives were bound to the rhythm of ritual. their days filled with incense, chants, and the careful copying of texts. Guarding the library meant more than locking doors. It meant ensuring that only the worthy could approach its wisdom. Priests tested initiates with discipline, patience, and devotion. Those who sought knowledge for greed or power were denied, for the danger of misuse was too great. The scrolls contained spells of resurrection, formulas of transformation, and secrets of the soul, truths that could unravel the balance of Maat if placed in careless hands. There is a quiet humor in imagining these priests, hunched over papyrus by flickering lamplight, perhaps yawning as they copied the same chants for the 100th time, all while guarding secrets that could shake the cosmos. Their work was monotonous, yet it carried eternal weight. Through their vigilance, fragments of Thoth's wisdom survived. The priests ensured that rituals continued, that myths were retold, and that the sacred language endured. Without them, the library would have been lost entirely to time. The guardianship of the priests reminds us that wisdom is not only about discovery, but about protection. They were the silent custodians of eternity, ensuring that Thoth's library remained hidden, preserved, and entrusted only to those who sought it with reverence. The wisdom of Thoth was not stored only in scrolls and tablets. It lived in the very symbols and sounds of Egyptian ritual. Magic in Egypt was not seen as trickery or illusion, but as a sacred science, a way of aligning human action with cosmic law. Every spell, every chant, every symbol carried weight, for it echoed the rhythm of creation itself. Hieroglyphs were more than writing. They were sacred images, each one infused with divine essence. To carve a symbol was to preserve a fragment of eternity, to inscribe a truth that could not fade. Priests believed that hieroglyphs held power, even when not spoken, their shapes resonating with the forces of the universe. A single sign could protect, heal, or guide, depending on how it was used. Sacred language was the bridge between mortals and gods. Words were not casual sounds, but forces that shaped reality. To speak a name was to summon its presence. To chant a spell was to align with divine order. This is why Thoth was revered as the master of language. He understood that words themselves were instruments of creation. His library, whether real or symbolic, was filled with these formulas, preserved for those who sought wisdom with reverence. Magic itself was woven into daily life. Farmers prayed with chants for fertile fields. Mothers invoked protective spells for their children, and rulers used rituals to legitimize their reign. Yet behind these everyday practices lay the deeper truth. Magic was not about control, but about harmony. It was the art of balancing mortal life with the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. There is a quiet humor in imagining a weary scribe carefully painting hieroglyphs onto papyrus, perhaps unaware that his work carried the power to summon gods or protect souls. Yet this was the essence of sacred language. Through magic, symbols, and sacred words, Thoth's wisdom endured. His library was not just a collection of texts, but a living system of signs and sounds, reminding humanity that language itself is divine, and that every word carries the weight of eternity. The wisdom said to be stored in Thoth's library was not ordinary knowledge. It was believed to contain truths so powerful that they could reshape the world if placed in the wrong hands. Ancient priests warned that some of these secrets were simply too dangerous for humanity, not because they lacked value, but because mortals lacked the discipline to use them responsibly. Among these forbidden teachings were spells of resurrection, formulas to command the elements, and the hidden names of gods and spirits. To know such names was to hold authority over divine forces, a power that could easily be misused. Imagine a careless mortal speaking a sacred word without reverence. The balance of Mat, the principle of truth and order, could collapse. Other dangerous knowledge included the mysteries of the soul and the afterlife. Rituals that guided spirits through eternity were not meant for casual use. If performed incorrectly, they could trap souls or disrupt the harmony of the unseen world. The priests understood this risk and guarded such wisdom carefully, ensuring that only the most devoted initiates could approach it. Later traditions carried this theme forward. The Emerald Tablets, attributed to Thoth, spoke of transformation and immortality, but their verses were cryptic, designed to conceal meaning from the unworthy. The danger was not in the text itself, but in human ambition, the desire to wield divine power for selfish ends. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals dreaming of unlocking cosmic secrets, hoping to gain wealth or immortality, while the gods themselves knew that the true treasure was balance, not control. The danger lay not in the scrolls, but in human impatience. The idea of knowledge too dangerous for humanity reminds us that wisdom is sacred. It must be approached with reverence, patience, and humility. Thoth's library, whether real or symbolic, was hidden not to deny humanity but to protect it, ensuring that the eternal rhythm of the cosmos remained unbroken. The legend of Thoth's wisdom did not end with Egypt. Over time, his teachings were said to have been preserved in mysterious writings known as the Emerald Tablets. These texts, attributed to Thoth in his form as Hermes Trismegistus, became symbols of hidden knowledge, carrying fragments of divine truth across cultures and centuries. The Emerald Tablets were not ordinary writings. They were said to contain the essence of alchemy, the transformation of matter, the unity of spirit and body, and the eternal rhythm of life and death. Their verses spoke in riddles, designed to conceal meaning from the unworthy, while revealing truth to those who approached with devotion. To read them was to glimpse the structure of the cosmos, but only if one understood that the true alchemy was not turning lead into gold, but refining the soul. Legends claimed that the tablets revealed the secrets of immortality, the science of consciousness, and the balance between heaven and earth. They echoed the wisdom of Isis and Thoth, reminding mortals that knowledge was not about possession, but about harmony. The tablets were said to be indestructible, eternal, and hidden away until humanity was ready to receive them. The Greeks and later mystics embraced these writings, weaving them into philosophy, alchemy, and esoteric traditions. The Emerald Tablets became a bridge between Egyptian mystery and Western thought, ensuring that Thoth's wisdom survived even as temples crumbled and scrolls faded. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals poring over these cryptic verses, hoping for recipes of wealth or immortality, while the true message was far simpler: balance, transformation, and unity. The tablets were not instructions for riches, but reminders of eternal truth. Through the Emerald Tablets, the legend of Thoth's library extended beyond Egypt, carrying its secrets into new lands and new ages. Whether real or symbolic, they remain one of the most enduring echoes of forbidden wisdom, a reminder that the greatest treasure is not gold, but understanding. The legend of Thoth's library often intertwines with another enduring mystery, the Hall of Records. This mythical archive, said to be hidden beneath the sands near the Great Sphinx of Giza, was believed to contain the collective wisdom of ancient civilizations. For centuries, seekers have imagined it as a vault of scrolls, tablets, and inscriptions, preserving the secrets of humanity's earliest ages. The Hall of Records was thought to hold not only Egyptian knowledge, but also wisdom from lost civilizations, perhaps even Atlantis. In this way, it became linked to Thoth, who was said to have guided humanity across ages, preserving truth in hidden places. If Thoth's library was the divine archive of cosmic law, the Hall of Records was its earthly counterpart, a repository of human memory waiting to be rediscovered. Stories claimed that within the hall were maps of the stars, records of forgotten histories, and formulas of divine science. Some believed it contained instructions for immortality, while others imagined it as a chronicle of humanity's rise and fall. Whether real or symbolic, the Hall of Records carried the same aura of forbidden knowledge, guarded by silence and mystery. Explorers and mystics across centuries searched for this hidden chamber, convinced that beneath the Sphinx or within the pyramids lay the entrance to Thoth's wisdom. Archaeologists found no evidence, yet the legend endured, fueled by the allure of secrets too vast to be lost. There is a quiet humor in imagining generations of seekers digging through sand, hoping to stumble upon scrolls of cosmic truth, while the gods themselves likely smiled at the futility. The Hall of Records was never about treasure, but about the idea that wisdom survives, hidden until humanity is ready. The connection between Thoth's library and the Hall of Records reminds us that knowledge is eternal. Whether buried in stone or preserved in myth, it waits patiently, veiled in mystery, until seekers approach, not with greed, but with reverence. The question that lingers across centuries is whether Thoth's legendary library ever truly existed, or whether it was simply a myth woven into the fabric of Egyptian belief. Historians, archaeologists, and mystics have debated this endlessly, each offering theories that range from the practical to the fantastical. On one hand, the idea of a hidden library fits neatly into Egypt's tradition of sacred archives. Temples often contained collections of scrolls, inscriptions, and ritual texts. It is entirely possible that Thoth's library was a symbolic way of describing these temple records, elevated into legend by centuries of retelling. In this view, the library was real, but not in the miraculous sense. It was a metaphor for the preservation of wisdom. On the other hand, myths describe the library as a divine vault, containing spells of resurrection, formulas of immortality, and the secrets of the cosmos. No archaeological evidence has ever confirmed such a place, yet the absence of proof has only fueled the mystery. Seekers imagine it hidden beneath temples, buried under the sands, or preserved in realms beyond human reach. Later traditions, especially those linking Thoth to Hermes Trismegistus, carried the myth into new cultures. The Emerald Tablets and the Hall of Records became extensions of the same idea, that somewhere, wisdom too vast for humanity was stored, waiting for the worthy. Whether these were real texts or symbolic teachings mattered less than the allure of the legend itself. There is a quiet humor in imagining generations of explorers digging through ruins, convinced they were on the brink of discovering scrolls that explained the meaning of life, while the gods themselves likely smiled at the futility. The library's power lay not in its physical existence, but in its symbolism. Was Thoth's library real or myth? Perhaps it was both. real in the sense of temple archives, myth in the sense of divine imagination. Its endurance proves that sometimes the idea of hidden wisdom is more powerful than the discovery itself. For mystery keeps the story alive long after the scrolls have turned to dust. Beyond temples and rituals, Egypt was home to secret schools where chosen initiates were trained in the wisdom attributed to Thoth. These schools were not open to the public. They were hidden institutions reserved for priests, scribes, and seekers who had proven their devotion. Their purpose was not simply education, but transformation, guiding students into deeper understanding of the cosmos and the soul. The curriculum of these schools was vast. Students learned sacred language, mastering hieroglyphs not just as writing, but as symbols infused with divine power. They studied astronomy, mapping the stars to understand the rhythm of time and the influence of celestial forces. Mathematics was taught not as numbers alone, but as the measure of temples, pyramids, and the eternal balance of matter. Medicine combined herbs with chants, aligning the body with cosmic harmony. Initiates were also instructed in rituals and magic. They memorized chants, performed ceremonies, and practiced the art of invoking divine forces. These lessons were not shared lightly. Teachers tested their students with discipline and patience, ensuring that only those who sought wisdom with reverence could advance. The schools were as much about character as knowledge, shaping the soul as carefully as the mind. Legends suggest that these secret schools preserved fragments of Thoth's library, passing wisdom through oral tradition and ritual practice. While scrolls may have been hidden, the teachings lived on in the hearts of initiates, carried forward across generations. There is a quiet humor in imagining weary students struggling to memorize endless chants by lamplight, perhaps nodding off mid-ritual, yet unknowingly preserving truths said to hold the keys of eternity. Their work was monotonous, but it carried eternal weight. The secret schools remind us that wisdom was never meant to be freely given. It was guarded, tested, and entrusted only to the worthy. Through these hidden institutions, fragments of Thoth's knowledge survived, ensuring that the rhythm of sacred truth continued long after temples fell silent. The legend of Thoth's library often speaks of scrolls that vanished into time, fragments of wisdom lost to history yet whispered about in myth. These were not ordinary writings, but texts said to contain immense power, formulas of divine science, chants of immortality, and knowledge that bridged the mortal and the eternal. Some traditions claimed these scrolls were hidden deliberately, sealed away in temples, or buried beneath the sands to protect humanity from their misuse. Others suggested they were carried off during invasions, scattered across lands, their secrets diluted into fragments of folklore. Whatever their fate, the idea of lost scrolls became central to the mystery of Thoth's library. Among the most famous were scrolls said to describe the creation of the universe, the movement of stars, and the mysteries of the soul. Others contained rituals for resurrection, guiding spirits through the afterlife, or unlocking hidden forces within the human mind. To possess such texts was to hold keys of eternity, yet to misuse them was to invite chaos. Later legends tied these lost scrolls to Atlantis, suggesting that Thoth preserved fragments of wisdom from that civilization and carried them into Egypt. Whether myth or memory, the story reinforced the idea that knowledge was eternal, even if its physical form was lost. There is a quiet humor in imagining dusty scrolls tucked away in forgotten corners, perhaps mistaken for mundane records of grain or taxes, while in truth they contained formulas of cosmic power. The irony of history is that the most extraordinary truths may lie hidden in the most ordinary places. The lost scrolls of power and wisdom remind us that knowledge is fragile yet enduring. Even when texts vanish, their essence survives in myth, ritual, and memory. Through these fragments, the legend of Thoth's library continues, carrying whispers of forbidden truths across centuries, waiting for seekers who approach with reverence rather than greed. The legend of Thoth's library often stretches beyond Egypt, reaching into the realm of Atlantis and other lost civilizations. Ancient traditions claimed that Thoth was not only the scribe of the gods, but also a traveler across ages, carrying wisdom from one world to another. In this view, Egypt was not the beginning of his story, but the continuation of a much older legacy. Atlantis, the mythical island described by Plato, was said to be a place of immense knowledge and divine science. Some legends suggest that when Atlantis fell, Thoth preserved its wisdom, safeguarding scrolls and tablets that contained the secrets of consciousness, immortality, and cosmic balance. He carried these truths into Egypt, embedding them within temples, rituals, and the hidden vaults of his library. This connection between Thoth and Atlantis gave rise to the idea that Egyptian civilization was built upon the remnants of a far older culture. The pyramids, the sacred schools, and the rituals of the priests were seen not as inventions of Egypt alone, but as echoes of Atlantean knowledge preserved through Thoth's guardianship. Later mystics expanded the story, imagining Thoth as a timeless figure who guided humanity through cycles of rise and fall. Each lost civilization left behind fragments of wisdom, and Thoth ensured they were not forgotten. His library became the eternal archive, holding truths that survived even when cities crumbled and empires vanished. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals searching for Atlantis beneath the waves, convinced they will find scrolls of cosmic power, while the gods themselves likely smiled at the futility. The true treasure was never the ruins, but the wisdom carried forward in myth and ritual. The link between Thoth, Atlantis, and lost civilizations reminds us that knowledge is eternal. Even when worlds vanish, wisdom survives, hidden in stories, symbols, and sacred texts. Through Thoth's library, the memory of Atlantis endures, a whisper of forbidden truths carried across ages, waiting for seekers who approach with reverence rather than greed. Among the most mysterious teachings attributed to Thoth was the pursuit of immortality and the mastery of divine science. These were not ordinary lessons of ritual or language, but profound insights into the eternal nature of the soul and the hidden forces of the cosmos. Immortality, in Egyptian thought, was never about the body living forever. Instead, it was the transformation of the soul into the Akh, the luminous spirit that endured beyond death. Thoth's wisdom taught that through balance, truth, and sacred knowledge, the soul could ascend into eternity, free from the cycles of decay. Rituals of preservation, chants of protection, and formulas of transformation were all part of this divine science, guiding mortals toward eternal life. Divine science itself was the understanding of cosmic law, the rhythm of stars, the harmony of nature, and the hidden forces that shaped existence. To master it was to align with Mat, the principle of truth and order. Priests believed that Thoth's scrolls contained formulas that revealed how the universe was structured, how energy flowed, and how consciousness could transcend the physical world. Later traditions, especially those tied to the emerald tablets, expanded these ideas. They spoke of the soul's ability to rise beyond the body, to transform through knowledge, and to unite with the divine. Immortality was not a gift of endless years, but a state of awareness, achieved through wisdom and discipline. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals searching for potions or treasures to live forever, while Thoth's teachings whispered that the secret was already within the soul itself. The true science was not about conquering death, but about understanding life, balance, and transformation. Immortality and divine science remind us that wisdom is eternal. Thoth's library, whether real or symbolic, preserved this truth, that the soul can endure, consciousness can ascend, and harmony with the cosmos is the key to eternity. Among the most profound teachings attributed to Thoth was the knowledge of consciousness and the soul. Unlike scrolls that described rituals or formulas, these writings were said to explore the very essence of human existence, the unseen spark that connected mortals to the divine. Egyptians believed the soul was not a single entity, but a harmony of parts: the Ka, life force, the Ba, personality, and the Ak, the transformed spirit that lived eternally. Thoth's wisdom explained how these aspects worked together, guiding the soul through life, death, and the afterlife. Consciousness was seen as the bridge between the mortal body and the eternal spirit, a rhythm that echoed the balance of the cosmos. In the Hall of Judgment, Thoth recorded the weighing of the heart against the feather of Mat. This ritual symbolized more than morality. It reflected the truth that consciousness carried the weight of one's choices. A pure heart aligned with cosmic order, while a heavy heart revealed imbalance. Later traditions, especially those tied to the emerald tablets, expanded this idea. Consciousness was described as eternal, capable of transformation and ascension. The soul was not bound to the body, but could rise beyond it, entering higher realms of existence. These teachings inspired mystics to see life as a process of refinement, where the true alchemy was not turning metals into gold, but elevating the spirit into unity with the divine. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals chasing immortality through potions or treasures, while Thoth's wisdom whispered that the secret was already within the soul itself. The greatest treasure was not hidden in scrolls, but in the awareness of one's own consciousness. The knowledge of consciousness and the soul reminds us that wisdom is not about control, but about understanding. Thoth's library, whether real or symbolic, preserved this eternal truth that the soul is divine, consciousness is eternal, and balance is the key to immortality. The mystery of Thoth's library lies not only in what it contained, but in why it vanished. Ancient traditions suggest that its disappearance was no accident. It was a deliberate act to protect humanity from knowledge too powerful to be freely held. Priests believed the scrolls contained spells of resurrection, formulas of divine science, and secrets of the soul. If such wisdom fell into careless hands, it could disrupt the balance of Mat, the principle of truth and order. To prevent chaos, the guardians of the library may have hidden or destroyed its most dangerous texts, ensuring that only fragments survived in ritual and myth. Invasions and time also played their part. Egypt faced waves of conquerors: Persians, Greeks, Romans, each carrying away treasures and scattering archives. Scrolls could have been lost in fires, buried beneath sand, or repurposed into mundane records. What remained was memory, transformed into legend. Later traditions added another layer. Perhaps the library did not vanish at all, but was concealed, waiting for humanity to reach a level of wisdom worthy of its secrets. This idea fueled myths of hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx or pyramids, where Thoth's scrolls still lie in silence. There is a quiet humor in imagining mortals digging endlessly through ruins, convinced they are on the brink of discovery, while the gods themselves likely smiled at the futility. The disappearance was not a loss but a safeguard, ensuring that wisdom endured only in fragments until seekers approached with reverence. The vanishing of Thoth's library reminds us that some truths are hidden not because they are gone, but because they are too sacred to be revealed. Its disappearance became part of its power, transforming knowledge into mystery, and mystery into legend. Though the temples of Egypt have long fallen silent, the idea of hidden knowledge has never disappeared. In modern times, echoes of Thoth's library appear in mysticism, philosophy, and even popular culture, reminding us that humanity still hungers for secrets beyond ordinary understanding. Mystical traditions often speak of esoteric wisdom, teachings preserved in symbols, rituals, or cryptic texts. The emerald tablets, attributed to Thoth, are reinterpreted today as guides to consciousness and transformation. Rather than literal instructions for immortality, they are seen as metaphors for refining the soul, urging seekers to rise above material desires and align with eternal truth. Secret societies and spiritual movements have also carried forward the idea of hidden archives. From Renaissance alchemists to modern occultists, many believed fragments of Thoth's wisdom survived in coded writings, waiting for those who could read between the lines. These groups treated knowledge as sacred, guarding it carefully, much like the priests of Egypt once did. Even science and philosophy reflect this theme. The search for the origins of consciousness, the mysteries of the universe, and the hidden forces of nature echo the same questions Thoth's library was said to answer. Modern seekers may not chant in temples, but they explore quantum physics, psychology, and metaphysics with the same desire to uncover truths that lie beyond the surface. There is a quiet humor in imagining today's seekers scrolling through websites or bookshelves, convinced they are on the brink of discovering cosmic secrets, while the gods themselves likely smile at the persistence. The search itself becomes part of the lesson. Wisdom is not found in possession, but in the journey. Hidden knowledge in modern times reminds us that the legend of Thoth's library is eternal. Whether in temples, scrolls, or digital texts, the idea endures. Wisdom is sacred, mystery is powerful, and truth reveals itself only to those who seek with reverence. The most haunting aspect of Thoth's library lies in the whispers of knowledge that humanity was never meant to possess. These were truths so vast, so dangerous, that even the gods feared their misuse. The scrolls were said to contain not only the secrets of life and death, but also the hidden mechanics of creation itself, the formulas by which the universe was woven. Among these forbidden teachings were the hidden names of gods and spirits, words of power that could command divine forces. To speak them without reverence was to risk unraveling the balance of Mat. The mysteries of resurrection, rituals that could return the dead to life, but at the cost of disturbing the natural order. The architecture of the cosmos, maps of stars and energies that revealed how existence was structured, knowledge that could be used to bend reality itself, the secrets of consciousness, insights into how the soul could transcend the body, rise beyond mortality, and enter realms reserved for the divine. Priests believed that mortals, driven by greed and ambition, could not be trusted with such truths. To misuse them would invite chaos, collapse kingdoms, and disrupt the eternal rhythm of the universe. Thus, the most dangerous scrolls were hidden, destroyed, or transformed into cryptic verses that only the worthy could decipher. Later, traditions carried this warning forward. The emerald tablets spoke in riddles, ensuring that seekers approached with humility rather than hunger for power. The Hall of Records was said to remain sealed until humanity reached a level of wisdom capable of handling its secrets. There is a quiet irony in imagining mortals endlessly searching for these forbidden truths, convinced they will unlock immortality or control the cosmos, while the gods themselves likely smiled at the futility. The lesson was simple. Some knowledge is not denied but delayed, waiting until humanity is ready. What humanity was never meant to know reminds us that wisdom is not about possession but about balance. The greatest truths are hidden not to punish us but to protect us, ensuring that the eternal harmony of the cosmos remains unbroken until we learn to seek with reverence rather than greed. The legend of Thoth's library has carried us through temples, scrolls, rituals, and myths. We have wandered among priests, guarding secrets, imagined lost civilizations, and pondered wisdom too dangerous for mortals. Yet the final truth about the library may be simpler than all the stories suggest. Thoth's library was never just a physical place. It was a symbol, a reminder that knowledge is sacred, that wisdom must be approached with reverence, and that the greatest truths are hidden not in stone chambers, but within the soul itself. The scrolls, whether real or imagined, taught that immortality lies in balance, that consciousness is eternal, and that harmony with the cosmos is the key to truth. Perhaps the library disappeared because it was never meant to be found in the sands of Egypt. Its true vault lies in memory, myth, and the human spirit. Each seeker who searches for hidden wisdom is, in a way, opening the doors of Thoth's library within themselves. The mystery endures, not because the scrolls are lost, but because the search itself is eternal. There is a quiet irony in this ending. Mortals have spent centuries chasing hidden chambers, while the gods likely smiled, knowing the library was never buried in stone, but carried in the heart. The final truth is that Thoth's library is both real and myth, both hidden and revealed, both eternal and within reach, if one seeks with humility. And now, as the story closes, let us rest. The scrolls are tucked away, the lamps of the temple dim, and the guardians of wisdom fall silent. The journey through forbidden knowledge has ended for tonight. Good night.